Manchester United might finally be building something interesting under Michael Carrick. But this is exactly when we need to stop looking at the preseason results. Because if we only look at the scorelines, United appear to be a team on the rise. But if we look at how they are actually playing, there is a much bigger question. Is this squad really ready to survive a full Premier League season? 2 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat is certainly not a bad record. But preseason isn't about collecting points. It's where a manager searches for answers. And so far, Carrick has found a few. Unfortunately, he has also uncovered some new problems. There is a clear change in the way Manchester United are playing. Carrick doesn't seem interested in building a team that simply waits for opponents to make mistakes. He wants United to be more comfortable controlling possession. When they lose the ball, they try to win it back immediately. And when they regain possession, they look to attack before the opposition can reorganize. That's one of the reasons United have looked much more alive during preseason. But one of Carrick's most interesting experiments isn't actually about the formation. It's about finding a way for United to control games without forcing Bruno Fernandes to constantly drop deep. Mason Mount and Andre Santos have been tested together as a double pivot, and the results have been promising. United look more balanced in midfield. Bruno can stay higher up the pitch, and the team doesn't have to rely on one player to connect the defense with the attack. Then came Yuri Tielemans. His debut against Paris Saint-Germain lasted just 28 minutes. But sometimes, a player doesn't need an entire match to show what he can bring. Tielemans kept things simple. No unnecessary movements. No forced passes. He received the ball, assessed his options, and moved it to the right player. Every pass he attempted found its target. And if he can continue performing like this, United may finally have someone capable of taking some of the build-up responsibility away from Bruno. But that's where another problem begins. A possession-based system only works if the players at the back remain calm under pressure. And United haven't always done that. When PSG increased the pressure, some of United's defenders looked uncomfortable. The ball was played forward too quickly. The passing options became predictable. And once United started relying on long balls, they lost one of the biggest advantages of building from the back. Control. This isn't a minor issue. Imagine the same situation once the Premier League begins. An opponent knows United want to play out from the back. They press the center backs. The defenders panic. A long ball is launched forward. United lose possession. The opponent attacks again. If that cycle keeps happening, United will be forced to play in a way that doesn't fit Carrick's preferred approach. And there is one player who could completely change that situation. Lisandro Martínez. Licha isn't just a defender. He can turn defense into the beginning of an attack. When opponents close down the passing lanes, he can carry the ball forward himself. When the midfield pushes too high, he can play passes through multiple lines. That's why losing Lisandro isn't simply about losing a center back. United also lose one of their biggest sources of creativity from deep. And so far this preseason, Carrick hasn't found a convincing solution for that problem. One side of the pitch is also a concern. Look closely at how United attack. The right side looks far more dangerous. Amad Diallo can move, rotate positions, and combine with the players around him. But when United switch the ball to the left, the intensity drops. Patrick Dorga hasn't had the same impact. A few technical mistakes have killed promising attacks. And this could become a serious problem because Premier League teams will eventually notice the pattern. If opponents realize United are more dangerous on the right, they can simply overload that side. Then United will be forced to attack through the left. And if the left side doesn't improve, United become much easier to read. Luke Shaw could potentially provide the answer. But once again, we come back to the same problem. Fitness. United can't build an entire season around the assumption that Shaw will remain available. That's why Lewis Hall is an interesting option. His profile makes sense. He's young. He's defensively capable. He can contribute going forward. And his crossing could add another dimension to United's attack. But there's one major problem. Newcastle have very little reason to sell him, especially after losing several important players. So if United really want him, they could be forced to pay a premium. And that creates another dilemma for Ineos. Is spending around 70 million euros on Hall really the best solution? Or should that money be used to fix another position? Then there's the bigger problem, Rashford. There is one player who could completely change United's plans. Marcus Rashford. If Rashford leaves, United have a strong reason to look for another left winger. If he stays, Carrick has to find a way to get the best out of him. And this isn't simply a tactical issue. It's about whether the player actually fits the system. Carrick's approach requires players who are willing to work without the ball, chase opponents, press aggressively, and recover their position after possession is lost. Rashford has previously been heavily criticized in these areas. Graham Souness even questioned whether Rashford still belongs at Manchester United. But there is another side to the story. Paul Ince believes Carrick could be the manager capable of bringing Rashford back to his best. And if that happens, United would gain something extremely valuable. An elite-level player without having to spend tens of millions replacing him. But if it fails, United could start another season with exactly the same problem. Sesko isn't the only issue. A lot of the discussion has focused on Benjamin Sesko. But I think the more important question is, who replaces him when he can't play? Bryan Mbeumo has already shown that he can cause problems, but his natural game seems better suited to having space and drifting into wider areas. He's not necessarily the type of striker who will constantly enjoy playing with his back to goal and battling two center backs. Joshua Zirkzee hasn't yet shown that he can be a reliable goalscorer either. So United could have a depth problem at number 9. And we know how the Premier League works. One injury can change an entire plan. One poor run of form can cost a team a huge number of points. That's why having a starting striker isn't enough. United need a genuinely reliable plan B. So, can they actually win the Premier League? Now we reach the biggest question. Is Manchester United good enough to win the Premier League? In my view, not yet. Not because they're a bad team. Quite the opposite. There are genuine signs of progress. But there's a huge difference between becoming a better team and becoming a championship team. A title contender needs consistency, depth, quality off the bench, the ability to survive injuries, and solutions when the opponent destroys the original game plan. United haven't proven all of that yet. Michael Silvestre also believes United are still too far away from being genuine title contenders. And looking at the squad objectively, that assessment makes more sense than getting carried away by preseason optimism. Carrick may have changed United's direction, but changing direction isn't the same as reaching the destination. Ineos now hold the key. That's why the final weeks of the transfer window are so important. United don't need 10 new players. They need to make a few smart decisions. Left back? Still a question mark. Midfield? Becoming increasingly important after Mason Mount's latest fitness concern. Backup striker? Still not convincing enough. And then there's Rashford, one player whose situation could affect several positions at once. Carlos Baleba and Alex Scott have both been linked with United. But so far, there hasn't been enough movement to suggest either deal is close. David Raum could also become an alternative if Lewis Hall proves too expensive. With less and less time remaining, Ineos has a decision to make. Strengthen the squad now, or fully trust the players they already have. And that decision could determine whether United simply have a better season, or actually become a threat to the teams at the top of the table. The bottom line. So don't judge Manchester United solely by their preseason results. What matters far more is what happens when things don't go according to plan. When the opponent presses. When Lisandro isn't available. When the right side gets shut down. When Sesko is injured. When Mount is unavailable again. And when United desperately need a goal, but their first-choice players aren't on the pitch. That's when the true quality of a team is revealed. Carrick has given United fans reasons to believe again. But now he needs something much harder. Proof that his system can survive when Plan A fails. Because Manchester United aren't trying to simply look better anymore. They're trying to become champions again. And if they really want to lift the Premier League trophy, they can't just fix the past. They have to build a squad capable of surviving the future.